Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope that you are all doing well, and I hope that you are all having a great day to start things off. Last Friday, Bitfinex, a leading crypto exchange that is based in Hong Kong, released an important message via its official Twitter account, letting its almost 500,000 followers know that it would be launching a decentralized exchange or a DEX platform in the upcoming months. Here's the actual tweet about it. Will not read through that. They said, EOS Finex will facilitate a highly scalable network of peer-to-peer value exchange, unconstrained by borders and built around a foundation of transparency, speed, and integrity, end quote. Accompanying the message was an in-depth blog post that was likely written in a bid to let users know about the specifics of EOS Finex, which was a name giving to the promising DEX platform. In the post, the exchange highlighted its aspirations for the platform, noting that EOS Finex will hopefully be a high-performance, decentralized exchange built on EOS.io technology. As such, the firm expects for the upcoming DEX and the EOS blockchain, which utilizes a DPoS delegate consensus mechanism, to achieve quick block times and high transactions per second to facilitate a highly scalable network of peer-to-peer value exchange, unconstrained by borders and built around a foundation of transparency, speed, and integrity. To accomplish this ambition, the firm behind this decentralized platform intends to build EOS Finex around three pillars. First and most importantly is decentralization, which means that eventually the firm intends to facilitate on-chain order books, matching, and settlement to create an endless, trustless peer-to-peer experience. Secondly is trust, which something ties into the decentralized pillar. The startup behind the project intends to create a transparent and audible network via a peer-to-peer exchange which can be easily monitored and verified by individuals utilizing public block explorers all across the globe. Last but not least is performance, which may be the firm's most ambitious pillar. Elaborating more on what the term means in the context of EOS Finex, Bitfinex noted that it intends to create a platform that will replicate and exceed the current standard put in place by centralized crypto exchanges. The idea is, as of now, is that we have a couple of decentralized exchanges. They do not work very well at all. I've tried about 3 or 4 of them over the last couple of months. They are very slow. They're very laggy. A lot of them, if you click on anything else on the page, you have to re-enter your password. And sometimes they won't even let you choose your own password. They'll give you a password of around 36 letters and numbers, the same exact thing with crypto addresses, and you have to write the entire thing down exactly as it is. It has to be upper or lowercase depending on how they show you on the screen. It can't be anything else. And if you don't have your password, there's no password recovery because it's decentralized and nothing is supposed to be linked to you or your name. So should you have problems with your account or should something become lost or stolen, there is no one for you to contact. So this is why this is going to be a major undertaking, to say the least, to be able to do this. A lot of people do not believe that as crypto was intended to be something for the people, by the people, and spread across all the people, that we should not have centralized exchanges as they are called, such as Gemini and Coinbase. But realistically, as it stands right now, these are our best bet, at least for now, to be able to buy certain cryptocurrencies, as we cannot really do these on the decentralized exchanges. It's just a lot of stuff that has to be kind of worked out. EOS hasn't been in the news as much as it was sometime around this summer. There was a huge amount of, I don't want to say hype, I want to say fascination around the EOS project. But it seems like many other projects, what they're all doing at the exact same time is that they're working on strengthening infrastructure and making sure that everything works a bit easier in their or on their platforms as the prices are down, as are, pretty much everything else in the cryptocurrency space. So it's nice to hear that a major cryptocurrency exchange is trying to build a decentralized exchange and also on top of the EOS blockchain, which could be good for everyone. I'm going to assume it's going to take them, I want to say, a year and a half to really get everything all together. Decentralized exchanges are not easy, especially when you are trying to make them secure. But that's kind of just how things are. So let's hope that this actually ends up working out, because I would at some point in the future like to exclusively move over to decentralized exchanges. But as of now, when it comes to the security and stuff like that, it's just not there. So I'm going to have to pass. Next up, this one is something that we should have all seen coming. The low-cost Robinhood investing app, popular with millennials, makes up for the lost profits of commission-free trading by selling users' data to other financial companies. A second quarter SEC filing shows that Robinhood Financial, or just Robinhood, is actually making millions of dollars from selling users' data to high-frequency trading, or HFT firms. Recall, this is the same company that espouses value of ethical trading practices that benefit the common man instead of fleecing customers to provide a quick buck for Wall Street traders. A quick peek at Robinhood's website presents browsers with feel-good phrases like, "We believe the financial system should work for the rest of us, not just for the wealthy," or "We've cut the fat that makes other brokers costly," like manual account managing and hundreds of storefront locations so we can offer zero commission trading, end quote. While it should come as no surprise that an investment company would distribute information related to customer demographics and purchasing preferences, the company frequently touts its zero commission trading options and markets itself as going against the grain of typical Wall Street brokerages. It turns out Robinhood actually sells users' data, other order details at 10 times the rate of what other financial companies charge HFT firms. Meanwhile, competitors like Vanguard and Interactive Brokers, IBKR, do not sell users' data, and IBKR even allows customers to place their orders through a variety of exchanges. That's a creepy photo right there. Robinhood does mention that it generates profits by margin lending and interest generated from the balance of customer accounts. But the most recently published SEC filing shows that the company could be heavily reliant on the revenue generated from the sale of user data. A report from Seeking Alpha suggests that Robinhood's sale of consumer data is a conflict of interest and is bad for you as a customer. The report goes on to detail a hypothetical calculation of how Robinhood could theoretically rake in $500 million per quarter from HFT firms if their volume was as high as E-Trade. Like I said, we shouldn't have been surprised. I've noticed a couple of people in the comment section over the last couple of months, whenever Robinhood was in the news, a lot of people said that they did not like Robinhood. They thought it was okay, but it wasn't, this spectacular thing that everyone should have been using. If you do not like your data being sold, this probably is not the app for you. I told you guys before, there are a lot of initiatives. I mean, everything. I wish things in the cryptocurrency space went a bit quicker, or rather certain updates or upgrades or new platforms kind of got released a lot faster. There's something going on, call it an initiative, if you will, in the cryptocurrency space where people are trying to build other platforms just like this, where if they do happen to sell your data, you will be not only notified of it, but you will also be paid a profit of the money that they end up getting. So should they make, let's say $1 from selling your data, you will then be able to get at least 25 cents from what they have sold. You will be aware that they are selling your data as well. I have not used Robinhood. I am probably never going to use Robinhood right now, but that's not to say that they're the only company that's definitely doing this. This is how Google and Facebook and everything else that's free or looks free is making their money. It's kind of sad that consumer data or anyone's data has to be sold, or that people have to know about you and who you are. But I guess this is just how it's going. So like I said, if you are using Robinhood, this may not be the platform for you, but other people may simply be fine with the happenings that are happening in Robinhood. Next up, the chief of the European Central Bank, or the ECB, said on Friday that the institution sees no concrete need to issue a digital version of the euro. In a letter to a member of the European Parliament, ECB President Mario Draghi said a lack of robustness in the technology that would underlie such an endeavor, as well as the high levels of physical cash used across the EU, meant the option is not on the table at present. He said the ECB and the euro system currently have no plans to issue a central bank digital currency. This was said by Mario. Draghi went on to say that distributed ledger technology, or DLT, a likely prime candidate for the basis of a central bank digital currency, would require substantial further development. The ECB's own research indicates that in 2017, cash made up 78.8% of all payments of points of sale across the EU. Payments by credit and debit card, meanwhile, made up 19.1%, and the remainder 2.1% was made using other instruments. The 2017 report stated that this seems to challenge the perception that cash is rapidly being replaced by cashless means of payment. I'll try and touch on that in 1 second. While the ECB may not consider DLT yet mature enough to warrant a real application as the rails of a national digital currency, other central banks are increasingly moving to investigate the possibility. When it comes to these numbers, depending on where you are in Europe, for those who have never been in Europe, there are a lot more countries that are far more traditional and kind of want to keep it that way. There's a huge difference if you go from, let's say, Spain or France or Italy or the UK. In the UK, typically, everything can be paid with card. Depending on where you are, especially if you are in certain Eastern European countries, they make sure that everything is exclusively in cash. A lot of them will have signs that they do not take cards at all, and you are required to then completely pay in cash. So a lot of it has more to do with, just to be as blunt as possible, when a lot of stores, especially certain countries, are trying to exclusively use cash, or the people in certain cities are only wanting to use cash, it typically has to do with the fact that they're trying to get around taxes, whether you want to believe that or not. You don't have to really write everything down if someone's handing you a 5 as opposed to swiping and paying 5 that way. And typically, like, if you're in the UK or certain other places, especially like if you're in like Paris or something like that, you can pay with everything by card. Something can come out to €1.14 and you can still pay with card. But so I mean, these numbers may be a bit misconstrued as far as depending on which country that you're in. I don't foresee a future anytime soon where cash is probably going to be wiped out in Europe. I think we have another 20, maybe even 30, 40 years. Like I said, if you have been to Europe, or if you are actually in Europe, there are a lot of places. It's the same exact thing kind of with automation, not even to get into the discussion of automation. But there are a lot of countries that want to make sure that their citizens continue to have jobs. And this also goes the exact same way with cash as well. There's just certain benefits that people have from cash, or people feel more comfortable having cash in their wallets than actually paying with cards, especially like the older generations, especially depending on where you are in Europe. I'm pretty sure you have seen, if you are in Europe, you've definitely seen that the older generation prefers to completely pay in cash, and they don't like the idea of paying with card, especially. And I don't think there's going to be a point anytime soon where somebody who's 75 or 80 years old is going to be taking out their smartphone and swiping so that they can scan a QR code to pay in Bitcoin, if that kind of makes a lot of sense. And on the same exact discussion of the European Central Bank announcing that they do not have any plans to issue a digital version of the euro, you may have noticed we spoke about a couple of months ago when the U.S. was having I think their Congress was having a discussion with people sitting in front of them. I think some of them were, I think it was 2 pro and 2 con cryptocurrency people. And they were discussing, the U.S. government kept on constantly asking, is crypto a threat to us? And one of the main things that they asked at least 14 and a half times was, if Europe created their own digital currency, would this then be a threat to the United States? This was asked so many times that by the 3rd or 4th time, it kind of became evident that there was an actual fear somewhere around there. So I'm going to assume, that over the last 3 to 4 months, after these discussions were had in front of Congress, that definitely someone in the U.S. went over to Europe, or picked up a phone, or opened up their smartphone and had a discussion with someone about the possibility of them doing this. Because the U.S. and the Eurozone, for what it's worth, are friends, family. I don't know, whatever you kind of want to call it. But I'm pretty sure if any type of digital currency was expected to be made by the European Central Bank in regards to the euro and a blanket crypto that'll flow all throughout Europe, I'm pretty sure this is either being suppressed, or the Eurozone was told, hey, don't do this because it'll destroy the potential power of the US dollar. I know it may sound unorthodox or kind of out there, but this is kind of how things are. If you pay attention to politics, or even financial politics, the US has a lot of leeway when it comes to making decisions for other countries. So I'm pretty sure this was definitely discussed. I'm pretty sure the European Central Bank at some point definitely sat down and thought about the logistics of being able to do this. It's technically possible. It may take around 5 years to be able to fully implement. But as of now, they say that they have no future plans to do it. At least for now. I'm pretty sure they had something in the works. That's at least how I feel about it. Not like I'm even rushing to have a European Central Bank digital currency. It's more like I'm pretty sure this was in the works, and then it was kind of squashed down from any discussions that were happening. Next up, as part of the proposed Action Plan for Growth and Transformation of Enterprises, or PACTE, P-A-C-T-E. Consisting of 71 measures, France has passed Article 26, which creates a legal framework for ICOs within the country. The new legislation has been progressing since it was first presented in June to the Council of Ministers. Article 26 is intended to provide a regulatory framework for ICOs in order to protect French investors and encourage growth in the sector. Bruno Le Maire, France's finance minister, is a supporter of blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies and has claimed that legislation will attract some of the best operators to France. That is very true. A special commission on the French National Assembly approved Article 26 on the bill on the 12th of September. The ICO framework defines tokens and requires actors to gain approval to operate from the French Financial Authority, the Autorité des Marchés Financiers, or the AMF, before raising capital in a token sale. ICO operators must also ensure investors provide full transparency of relevant ICOs and issue information via published documents. These documents must provide accurate, clear, and non-misleading content, which helps to understand the risk associated with the offer. Good job, France. I'm very glad that they did this. France was one of the countries that I was kind of worried about when it came to regulations. So the entire, for those like talking about the Eurozone and stuff like that, typically what ends up happening is that when a law is passed, it's kind of blanketed over the entire European Union. Some countries can obviously opt out of certain rules or things that they think may be detrimental to their government. But we have had information about the European government or countries in general talking about making framework for cryptocurrencies and or laws. And I told you guys before, it doesn't take 9 months, or even we've had this conversation since last summer, not 2018 summer. I mean 2017 summer. It doesn't take over a year to discuss what ICOs are, especially because every single country has kind of come forward and said that all ICOs are going to be securities. The framework for it should not have taken that long. I do commend France. I know they have a bit of a weird tax situation when it comes to cryptocurrencies in general, but it's nice to hear that they're actually moving along with some type of framework, that they're giving people the answers that they've wanted for quite some time. And I hope that the rest of the European Union, because I think they said that they planned on having some type of, can't remember what it was. They plan on having like the rules and stuff like that rolled out, I think, by the end of this year. It doesn't take forever. Just get to it. Just give us the law so the rest of the market can move on. It doesn't take a year and a half to be able to create a framework. So very good, France, on creating something that provides transparency, or that lets people know exactly what they're dealing with inside of the country. Here's another good one. Much has been made in recent days about the Gemini's dollar, or the GUSD or GUST, a USD-pegged stablecoin created by the Winklevoss-founded Gemini cryptocurrency exchange, can help regularize cryptocurrency as a mainstream asset class. However, decentralization hardliners may be dismayed by the details of this grand bargain. Writing on tech publication Good Audience, blockchain researcher Alex Lebed performs a code review of the Gemini dollar smart contract, finding that, contrary to the ethos and technical specifications of decentralized cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, GUSD includes a provision that allows its custodian, namely Gemini, to freeze any account. Lebed, who in full disclosure is also attached to a separate stablecoin project, further notes that GUSD uses an ERC20 proxy contract that gives Gemini, as a custodian, the ability to upgrade the contract once every 48 hours, giving it, among a myriad of other things, the power to simultaneously render all tokens non-transferable. It's not entirely surprising that Gemini included a mechanism to allow it to freeze funds, given that Cameron and Tyler Winklevoss repeatedly touted GUST as the first trusted and regulated digital representation of the US dollar, both in the official announcement and in subsequent media appearances. More than just an apparent slight at Tether, the controversial fully collateralized stablecoin issuer whose assets are reportedly stored in Puerto Rico, this statement is confirmation that Gemini wants its token to exist alongside and within mainstream finance, not outside of it. To be fair, to be 100% fair, I don't think that the Gemini twins would be dumb enough to be able to, how do I say this? Whoever's in control of all this money, I don't think, unless something catastrophic would happen, that they would freeze other people's accounts. I think that would completely push people away from wanting to use their currency. Second, I think it's ridiculous that there's actually a fail-safe inside of it that it allows you to freeze any of the money that's actually flowing around out there, which is also a bit much. And third, this leads us to the entire discussion that we were having before about central bank digital currencies and why people like Andreas Antonopoulos and myself, for what it's worth, I'm not Andreas, but I think that it's very dangerous, and I like, one, that they're going to take some time to be able to, or that they have no current plans to issue a digital euro or any other central bank digital currency, simply because the same exact thing will be able to happen. In that, if you are a country and you do not like what's happening in your country, you can simply freeze the funds of the people who are living inside of your country. If you have issued a central bank digital currency, because it is all digital, you do not have to go around plucking bills from people's hands or telling them not to use them with guards standing outside of their doors. You can simply hit a button and stop everything on the network. While I don't think, what have you, it's in the code. I think as this was probably a mandatory addition, as it is a digital representation of the US dollar that was officially not regulated. It was approved by people in the US, so I assume this had to be a stipulation of them actually making it. If they're actually going to freeze a number of accounts, probably. Will they freeze all the accounts at the exact same time? Probably not, because people would simply just leave their coin or their platform and go somewhere else. I'm pretty sure over the next couple of months, we're going to definitely have some information about accounts have been frozen that have been using Gust, simply because should something be deemed illegal, or should any red flags be risen, something being put in the air that's a red flag, I think they're definitely going to be told to stop accounts. Will it make headlines? Probably not. Will I try to cover it? You most certainly bet. The point is, this is a bit worrying, but I mean, it kind of is what it is. I didn't have high hopes for the Gust in the first place. Like, it wasn't something that I was like, oh my gosh, this is finally happening. Especially them and Paxos. I think that's the other stable coin that was just released, or that was spoken about, as they are supposed to be like the only regulated or officially 100% regulated and audited stablecoins that we have in the United States. But this leads us once again to the discussion, should someone be able to have control over money like this? If you are able to put your money into their platform or into their cryptocurrency, should they then be able to still control your money? As of now, for what it's worth, for what I feel that it's worth, the crypto space is looking brighter every day. I know the prices are down a tiny bit, but the more that we have news that world governments are not creating their own digital currencies, this only allows the foundation of Bitcoin and other cryptos to be strengthened rapidly. In that, if Bitcoin has risen this much, not in price, but in popularity, let's say over the last 2 or 3 years, if it takes governments another 2 or 3 years in order to start implementing these things, or saying that they're going to start doing them, the solidification of Bitcoin and Ethereum and even XRP and Litecoin and Neo and all these other coins in the public mind will grow stronger, as people will be more incentivized to not only use crypto, but only understand what crypto is, and therefore they will have a harder time accepting a crypto that is from the country that they are living in, especially since, if backed, the BAKKT, the thing that is being made by the New York Stock Exchange or NASDAQ, one of them, whatever is being created is supposed to allow people around the world to be able to pay in crypto. And if we have, let's say, 3 years where people are completely allowed to pay in crypto, and this slowly spreads out, by the time that we actually have governments saying that they're going to create their own central bank currencies, we will have a world that is already used to crypto and may not accept that their country has created crypto, just continue using Bitcoin instead. That's kind of at least how I feel about it. Last up, a top 20 exchange is phasing out an embattled cryptocurrency. DigiFinex has decided to replace Tether, or USDT, perhaps the best known stablecoin designed to maintain a steady exchange within the US dollar, with a rival, Trust Token's TrueUSD. Based in Singapore, DigiFinex handled $131 million in trading volume over the past 24 hours, according to CoinMarketCap, making the 16th largest exchange by measure. Kia Shek, DigiFinex's co-founder, told CoinDesk she'd been looking for ways to get rid of the USDT, for months, adding, "I simply don't believe in Tether, but I had no choice but to list it." Speaking of the decision to adopt TrueUSD, Sheck said, "Through my research, due diligence, and my communications with the Trust Token team, I have come to appreciate their commitment to industry-leading best practices." She mentioned the team's compliance with the U.S. Financial Crimes Enforcement Networks, or FinCEN, regulations, and independent verification by an outside auditing firm. Tether, the company behind USDT, did not give a comment by press time. The firm has been the subject of much negative attention for over a year now, and it has struggled to convince observers that it holds enough dollar reserves to fully back all the USDT in circulation. You may notice a trend is happening here. A lot of people don't trust, did not trust, and are probably never going to trust Tether. For those who are unaware, simply because they had two audits against them, and that they had two companies who went inside to try and check to see that they actually had as much US dollars as they were printing Tether. The first two companies could not find anything. I think the second company was fired because Tether said that they were being too intrusive, which is kind of what you have to do when you want to check to make sure that they actually have the money. And I think the third company came forward recently, and they said that they, after 2 days of checking around, that Tether was completely legitimate. Bloomberg also noted that Tether was completely legitimate. This is why you may have noticed over the past couple of months, we now have 14 different stablecoins that have come out from different companies and different countries as well. I think there's also like a Euro stablecoin or something like that now, and I think one is being launched in Asia or something like that. The point is, people are trying to get away from Tether because should it turn out that Tether is not actually real, or that they only have, let's say, $1.7 billion when they have printed 2.5 billion Tether, then something is amiss. That means that something is wrong with the market. So I think we're going to start hearing a lot of other news about other companies who are going to be, dropping Tether. But I mean, it's kind of, if Tether isn't working, it should be dropped, especially when we have 14 other stable coins that are being launched in 2018 or early 2019. That's totally fine. If you have a proper replacement with something that's actually real, that can be audited, that we know isn't fake, or for what it's worth, we don't know if Tether is 100% fake, then definitely go and do it. Alrighty, everyone, that is definitely going to do it for this video. Quick announcement. I am extremely tired. I have been making a lot of videos. I'm sure you have noticed. There's such a huge amount of news that I try and keep up with all of it, but as I'm human, my body can't really keep up with a lot of it. I I'm thinking about taking tomorrow off and, not making a video, just to kind of relax, take a walk, get some air. And if my body tiredness continues, I may also take the second day off as well. So don't be alarmed that I haven't made videos for 2 days. I think there was one point, I think I missed, this was months ago. I'm making videos, I think, for 2 or 3 days. And people were asking in the comment section if I had died. I hope I don't get run over by something, but if it does happen, this is your news for today. The point is, I definitely need to take some time off unless something really significant happens, unless XRapid gets launched, unless Litecoin becomes the #1 coin, unless Ethereum decides to surprise us and launch Plasma and Casper at the exact same time. I think it would be good for me to not burn out and just take a bit of time for myself. But that is, I think that's all I pretty much had to say on it. I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, and or evening. Thank you once again for watching and or listening. I do appreciate all the support, more than you can possibly begin to imagine. Thank you once again, and I will talk to you all soon. See you.